Okay, this is the LTS Working Group meeting, January 25th, 2016. In attendance so far is myself, Michael Dawson, James Snell, Jeremiah Sempian, Jeremiah Sempiantical. I don't think I got that right. Yeah,
Thank you.
Miles Forens and Rod Vag. So starting out with a review of the past meetings minutes, which was on the 11th of January. I'm just going to go through that and open up to find the minutes. Or actually, sorry, on the 11th we chose not to have a meeting, so I guess I'll go back one further. Just give me one more second. Where is that? Closed. Just find the last one. Looks to be okay. It was December 14th, 2015. So now I'm just going to look at the minutes for any action items. Okay, so some of the issues. So one issue discussed was charter this 48. So James to write up the draft charter.
Which I have not been able to do yet, but oh yeah.
Okay. Discuss the possibility of the occasional Semver minor bump in LTS.
Yeah.
Number 61. I think that's still open for. James, I don't know if you know offhand. Is that's still on? Is that still on this?
We had decided that we were going to go ahead and take those changes. The plan was to do those after 425. Now after 426. So probably within the next 2 weeks we'll have an update, which bumps us up to 4.3.
Okay.
We'll land those changes.
Okay.
I think there's 2 December minors. And they both deal, I believe, with B8, kind of post-mortem type stuff.
Right. Okay, so that one's effectively dealt with. The possibility of adjusting the LTS schedule, we were going to bring that to the CTC, which I know we did, and I think the answer that was agreed on, unless it's changed since then, was we were kind of going to wait and see, not change the schedule yet.
Right.
When we get closer to when we're going to be picking the version of the 8 where we stand and breaking changes and stuff like that and make the decision at that point. The previous one, discussion issue 63, so come up with a better label for the stable branches. Says let's not rename the LTS branch, but come up with a better label for stable branches. I saw there was an issue where there was discussion on that. I don't know if we came to closure or not, though.
I am not sure. Rod, do you have anything on that one?
No, I'm not recalling.
I believe I was following the thread earlier today, I think a lot of people were in agreement for the use of the name Edge for the latest branch. I think Jeremiah was in that thread as well.
Isn't that a different thread?
Is that a different thread?
Yeah,
I think there's a thread somewhere else that's discussing renaming LTS to stable and stable to current, but I don't remember where it is. I think that had something to do with, I don't know, the marketing board and stuff too, being like, this isn't necessarily working out so great.
Yeah, I don't remember the exact issue either. I have to go look it up, but yeah, it was the marketing folks came back and said, well, the LTS label stinks. Let's call it something better. But we really hadn't settled on any kind of.
No, I mean, as what I remember is that it wasn't. The discussion was not about LTS. That one the consensus seemed to be that should stay the same to avoid confusion.
Yeah.
Depends which consensus you mean.
I think we actually ended up on saying we were going to think about changing stable to current.
Yeah.
Is that right?
That's sort of more what I remembered. It was LTS would stay, but then the current one
As far as I know, the discussion sort of ended on the suggestion that we change LTS to stable, so it's stable backed by the long-term support plan, and then stable as we know it today would just be current.
I'm pretty sure in the meeting there was some strong opposition to that. I know I have strong opposition to that.
Which meeting?
The last meeting.
Yeah, when we were talking about it,
Okay.
in terms of renaming the LTS, because we've already done so much messaging around calling it LTS that switching now would just cause more confusion than it was worth.
Yeah.
But if we started, but we could switch kind of the name for what we currently call stable and call it current, and that we'd probably be able to get away with that pretty easily. Especially if we do this other thing where we're talking about having these nightlies or weeklies like as an edge release, right? We can just say current and edge, right? And that's our the current major plus the leading edge was coming up, but LTS stays the same. I think we can message that pretty easily.
So I guess, do we need to take action here in terms of that issue, like go back and prod it, or because it doesn't sound like we're quite at a consensus as to what it should be.
Yeah.
I guess the other question in my mind is, do we still see people being confused by the way it is currently?
I'm not seeing the confusion on the LTS naming for the V4. People seem to have caught on rather well for that now. I think it's more of just kind of a matter of time of getting used to it.
Right.
Anything else?
Yeah, I'm thinking unless there's a big problem, sticking with what we've got at least for a little while longer to avoid the confusion of changing things too often would make sense.
Yeah.
If the LTS group feels that the current labeling is sufficient, I'm going to be now taking part in the foundation marketing meetings, at least for the near future. So I'd be more than happy to kind of go and talk directly to the people on the marketing board and make sure that there aren't any broken telephones happening, between us and them, and make sure everyone's on the same page.
Okay. Sounds good.
That makes sense. Okay, so you'll take an action to discuss with them and see if there's some issues we're not aware of or whatever. Okay.
If you do that, Miles, just the one thing to take there, if there's any discussion about, if they really feel strongly about changing LTS to something else, you might want to just heads up them that there's fairly strong opposition on this end to changing LTS. We can change the way we talk about LTS, but actually removing that label, there's most of us, as far as I'm aware, are objecting to that.
Okay. So I'll take it offline after this meeting and make sure the narrative that I'm going in with is kind of everyone's on board. Maybe even we can make a GitHub issue that just tracks that.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Sounds good.
Okay, the previous issue was okay. It was more about looking to cut a new LTS release. Okay, so I think that's the previous meeting. So in terms of moving on to the agenda, I used the tool to generate the agenda items here. So there's deprecate array values in 012.x 25877. I don't know if anybody has an insight into that.
When was that
That's a
labeled?
long time
Are
ago.
these the deprecation ones? Is that what you said?
Yeah, let me look at these issues. Let's see here. When was it?
So array values is in 012, but not anything else. I think the idea was to put a deprecation warning on that just to make it clear.
Oh, man, that was on the LTS back in September.
Yeah, that's a long time ago.
But we never recorded the resolution on this, so
The resolution was to go ahead with them, but no one has, and I don't think I'm going to, so I say we just close them.
They're both 012. Yeah, yeah, I'm fine with that. I mean, if yeah, I'm fine with that.
Any disagreement? Give me a second. I'll actually do that. I just have to get my authentication ID to log in. If I, okay. Okay. Okay, nobody's. I'm just gonna say nobody's gonna get to this, so we're just gonna close it.
Yeah.
And I guess we don't feel it's that important.
Okay.
That was okay, so I'm closing comment that one. The next one, so that's the same with 225784 deprecate SMalloc and B012 as well.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll update that one again as well. Okay, next one, updating async wrap in 012.x.
So I believe we discussed this one before and decided we were going to do it. It's just a matter of getting all those commits cherry picked, which I'm not sure has happened. We may want to work with Trevor and identify exactly which one those are.
All right, so I'm just going to type that in there into the issue itself. This was discussed.
Yeah, the resolution was to update async wrap to the latest and just not document it in 012.
Sorry,
Sorry, it's your version 4, I mean.
Oh wait, no, this is updating async wrap in 012. Then.
The specific one is on 012.
Oh, this one's a new one. Okay, I see.
Oh, that's just a different matter.
Huh. I'm not even sure if that's possible, and I think Trevor answered that he's not even sure it'd be possible either.
Who marked that for the agenda?
Miles marked it for the agenda after it came up. I'm looking at the comments now. Yeah, I came in and said it's probably unlikely. Trevor said it's unlikely. Rod agreed that it was unlikely. And
okay. That sounds like it's unlikely then.
Yeah. So yeah, I think at this point it's just like not going to do this unless somebody goes through the trouble of doing it.
The
Okay.
official response is use 4.x.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to add up discussed in latest LTS meeting. This is we don't have there won't. So closing, how about that? Is that accurate? Or do we want to say something more? Like if the guy who opened it went ahead and did it, would we say yes, or is it that?
Sorry, what was the issue?
It's updating async wrap in 0.12.x. It's issue 463. Is that make sense? No, that's the number of the issues. It's 4592.
Okay, 012. Look, I think that the risk is far too high because async wrap in 012 is really distant from current async wrap. So the risk is really big. And also we're getting close to 012 being officially in maintenance. And I really wouldn't be touching anything in there that's so major.
Yeah.
I think my vote is to completely just say no. It's just not going to happen. Move to version 4. Like, why aren't you on version 4?
Yep. Agreed.
Okay, so I'm just going to say, discuss in the latest LTS working group meeting. Async wrap in 0.12x is far from the latest high, so we don't think should happen. Closing.
Sounds good.
Okay. Okay, done. Okay. Then the next thing is discuss possible clarifications to the LTS messaging labeling 63. So I guess that's.
Yeah, we already dealt with that.
We already talked about that. Yeah, discuss possibility of occasional send reminder bumps in 61. We talked about that. Schedule for 10 and 012 releases 52. Is there anything to be done on that?
No, that was the previous releases, and we had those go out. We will need new 10 and 12 releases, but I don't think there's much we need to discuss at this point with those.
Should I say releases went out?
Yeah.
This is really just saying we need to identify and schedule the remaining next steps for getting 010x. Yeah, this is quite an old one. This probably to get the initial versions out from the repo, right?
Yeah, because at that time we were still waiting on the CI to be set up to support that. So
initial versions went out from the new infra, so closing.
Yeah.
Although actually, I can't close this one.
We need to be removing the labels off them as well while you're closing these.
Yeah.
So we have to remove the LTS agenda label in addition to closing?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so.
So James,
I just closed it, and
yeah, okay.
I'll go back and pull the issue label off the other ones.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't have the right to.
Right.
Okay. The next one is we already talked about charter this, so I think that's. Oh, sorry. Maybe that's. Yep. So I guess the other thing, I forgot what it was, but Miles had mentioned something else to add to the agenda.
That was a non-starter. It was for a different working group.
Okay.
I do have one thing. So now that we've been through a few of these patch releases and stuff for LTS, there's a couple of them that I did like a release candidate phase 4. Then we just had the 4.25 and then very quick turnaround for 4.26 because of a regression. I think we just want to set a pattern that for every LTS release, we just go ahead and go through at least one release candidate cycle. Obviously, it's no guarantee that people will actually test it
Right.
until it actually goes out. I think that's kind of what I had the problem with previously is I don't believe anybody actually looked at the release candidate that I put out there.
Right.
So I think we need to improve some of the messaging, get the word out kind of stuff. Actually, hey, go please actually test this so we can spot their any regressions. But we definitely need a release candidate cycle for every release.
Right. Now those release candidates went through all of our normal internal testing, right?
Yep.
So is it something like? I guess when this happens, should we also start to look at where there's some tests we could add that would have caught this particular case, or?
So I was going to talk about that. We've got a process internally that's working really well. So officially documented test plans where everyone contributes to putting together the test plan and everyone is dedicated to running the test plan if you make a release.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if we should adopt a similar process for Node, whereby every time we have an issue like this, we document a new test plan, the part of a test plan. Like this one would be, you have to run the debugger. When you're making a release, you use the binaries, run the debugger, and do these certain steps that just verify that the debugger works. You do npm install, you install a native add-on. Basically, document really clearly the exact steps that a releaser needs to take with a binary to verify that it works before you can sign off to releasing it. And that's basically like integration tests where we'd be testing things we can't do with the unit tests. Because that's the problem here. It's not as easily testable, even though there's new tests introduced now for the debugger stuff. Some of these things really aren't easy to test.
Absolutely. We definitely need to have it.
So I guess we should, I agree. That's a great idea. So every time we catch, we just build it up over time as we catch these. And if we think of ones that we know of, we could even add them in advance. But so what's the next step on that?
We needed kind of a draft plan for what that process would look like. Rod, you say you already have this. You're already implementing this in NodeSource?
Yeah, our engineering manager has brought this over from Adobe, and it's apparently something they did there really well. So, I can probably get the basic structure from him to kick it off. And we have a couple of we already have a couple of basic tests that a few of us run anyway, so we can build it from really basic stuff, and then over time, I think, as we break stuff, but also as other contributors think of things that are important, like parts of NPM that are important, for example, then we can add to it. So I'll put my name down for that to kick that off.
Okay. So you can write the first draft.
Okay. I'm just wondering if there's something we can do with SitGem also. Some way where we can, not only automate the some of the ecosystem tests, but some of these other kind of tests too, with the debugger and that kind of thing. I don't know. I'm just kind of thinking off the top of my head. I don't know. It's somewhere where it's worth looking into. See how much of this we can automate to add these little test cases in.
Yeah, I think once we have it documented, then it's you have that and you say, okay, we either have to run it manually or we automate it, and as it's more and more painful to do by hand, we'll get more and more motivated to automate them as best we can.
One kind of painful thing is, as we've been going through this, is getting people to label all of the issues, all the PRs that have to be backported for. For the most part, those labels get put on there because either Miles or myself, we go through the recent pull requests and we add them. I think there's only like maybe 2 or 3 other collaborators that consistently will add the label, and there's quite a few PRs that get landed that don't have those, and we have to go back and find them and add them. We really need to find some way of encouraging either the person opening the PR or the person landing the PR to consistently add those labels, especially if the PRs have multiple commits or depend on past commits.
Right.
Because it's actually getting to be fairly difficult for us to know. It might be a December patch, but it depends on 3 or 4 major changes earlier, right?
So a strategy that has sort of worked for me with similar behavioral changes in the past is, as you go through and do the labeling, is to call it out and say, this label wasn't on here. I have made this call. In future, would you mind please making a call? So instead of doing it just silently, whenever you have to add it, call it out and say you didn't do it this time. Not like it's hard. It is hard to find the words that don't make it sound accusatory, but just making it like a reminder. Hey, next time, could you please have a go at this?
I guess does the tooling help at all? Like, really, we want a land on LTS or not land on LTS decision, right?
Yeah. The watch label is really that we think this should land, but there still might be some question over it. It just guarantees that we'll look at it when we're actually landing things, and then make the call. Once it's on the 4X staging, then we'll switch the label over to yes, we're going to land this on 4X.
Right. But I'm just wondering if there's some way we could force have the when an issue is closed, force a selection to be made. That either you have to choose, don't land on LTS or land on LTS.
Yeah.
That's really what we want, right?
Yeah, I just don't know.
Into bot territory there.
Sorry, say that again?
You're getting into bot territory there.
Yeah, okay. So it's not something that GitHub lets you.
So one thing that I am working on slowly, as I actually have time, which unfortunately the past few weeks has been precious little, is a tool for actually landing commits. Instead of going through the dance of applying it manually and then it'll actually step you through the PR who reviewed it. But it'll also ask a question: is this suitable for LTS? And if it is, it'll go and attach that label for you. So there's I'm hoping to actually be able to get the first version of that out by the end of the week. But
that'd be neat, yeah.
We'll see.
If everyone's using the tool to land commits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It will.
I thought about something like that ages ago after the CI broke really badly when we tried to do that, but I never got around to it. So if you publish it, I'll probably work on it too.
Okay, cool. I'll try to get the first version out by end of the week. It may be fairly incomplete, but I'll get something out there so we can collaboratively work on it.
So is this similar to what we had before, where it would run all the tests, or is it something different from that?
No, this will it'll pull down the PR patch and apply it. It'll make sure that the commit metadata is correct. It will give you the option of doing a make lint and a make test.
Right. Okay.
Just some sanity checks, but it also asks questions like, is this suitable for LTS? And if it is, it'll go mark that for you.
Right. Okay. It automates the manual landing.
Right.
Yeah.
And kind of walk you through those common steps. So the original intention was to make it easier for new collaborators.
Right.
But if we can also use it to have the existing collaborators be more consistent, then great. So.
These days I'm using Apply PR.
Yeah.
By Petka Antonov. And if we made a tool that was specific to Node Core, I'd probably switch to that, which would be great.
Yeah, it does sound good.
So it's relying so far. It's relying fairly heavily on some of those packages you already have out there, Rod. So thank you for those. That's all I have.
Okay, unless there's anything else, I guess we'll close the meeting and.
Well, one question just popped in my head. We've had fairly light agendas for the past couple of meetings. Do we still think that every 2 weeks is good, or do we want to push it out further than that, or at least do it 2 weeks just a sanity check, even if it's a short call?
I think in the past, where it's like, okay, there's nothing today and we just cancel works as well, right? If it's scheduled
that doesn't work so well for me, unfortunately, because the meetings happen in my morning, so I need to decide whether I set my alarm or not. It just so happens.
Yeah, no, understood.
Yeah.
Maybe the decision could be made the day before.
If we had the issue up on GitHub, it'd probably make it easier to have that discussion. Look, I'd be fine with pushing out. Like every 2 weeks still does seem a bit too frequent for what we do. Maybe every month is probably not enough though. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay. Well, let's think about it.
Maybe stick to every 2 weeks, and then allow for cancel.
And I definitely apologize, Rod. I know that the timing, getting this out is kind of questionable this morning and stuff. It's so buried. I totally forgot to get it out. So I will, for the future meetings, I will try to get it out at least a day or two in advance, so you can plan ahead better.
Yeah, I think we could make the assumption that if we don't confirm early enough, then it's not happening. Because getting up early is never fun.
Just briefly, what was the conclusion that we're going to bring that back to discussing the possibility of occasional sum for minor bumps in LTS?
That was that we are, but they are on a very case-by-case basis. Basically, the argument needs to be made for individual specific PRs. We're not just going to accept anything.
Are we going to bring something back there where we kind of have a plan for buffering them up to certain points?
That's what we're talking about. We let them sit there for a while, make sure that nothing breaks, and then land them together into one. So this upcoming next release would be a 4.3, where we land 2 of those that have been sitting there for I think about 2 months now. So I think they're pretty safe.
Right.
Something additional with that, so sum for minor in LTS. I know there is a presumption out there in the community because of the 010 and 012 process that we would still care about 4.2 after we go to 4.3. So when we're doing the release, we need to pay attention to that and say, do not expect any more 4.2 releases. This is the new LTS release number. You need to upgrade to this.
Agreed. Okay. I think that's it.
Okay. So James, do you want me? I'm just typing up the minutes in the Google Doc. Do you want me to grab that and put it into the repo as well?
Yeah, if you would.
Yep, will do.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay.
All right, all.
Talk to you guys later.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot,
Yep,
Michael.
bye.
Well done.
Thank you.
Bye.